Hey everyone, it's Chris again from GamingWithSwag.com, and I have a really special video for you today. It's the book Tetris, aka The Games People Play, by Box Brown. And this book is become one of my favorite graphic novels very quickly. So, one, who doesn't like Tetris? Everyone likes Tetris. Two, who doesn't like comic books? Everyone likes comic books. So what if I told you this giant, thick book, graphic novel, is a story about how Tetris started and how it became so popular? Now, you wouldn't really think that would be a graphic novel. When you think graphic novel, you think of things like X-Men Days of Future Past or, The Dark Knight Rises or something like that, superheroes. But I saw this in my local comic book shop and I was like, I have to take a look at this book. So basically what it is they tell you the history of how two guys came up with an idea for Tetris and try to market it to the world. And honestly, it's very interesting because it kind of goes into some of the politics in Russia and kind of take a look and see, how things worked for both Nintendo in Japan and Russia, as well as the US, and how business and politics work. And they kind of introduce you to all the different characters, and they kind of talk to you about who the major players were, where it would be, a business person, the game's creator, Alexei, or, Miyamoto, or something cool like that. Now, the cool thing is they do things like this, where it shows you like the old coding, and shows you how they came up with the idea for Tetris. And then later on down the road, they show you how it gets consoleized and how there was a big fight on who was going to get the rights to Tetris. And that, my friends, is what makes this so special, because it's a very interesting story. If you don't know the story, go do your research before you read the book, because basically a bunch of people thought they had the rights and it turned out they really didn't. Or they only had select rights to certain aspects, whether it be a console version or a computer version or an arcade version. So you can see here the Game Boy, and that's the infamous head-to-head version that you might see today. Now, there is one interesting piece of this puzzle that the book surprisingly doesn't cover. So they talk a little bit about, in the late 80s, about Tengen. And Tengen's very important to the Tetris story, because Tengen is an Atari subsidy, and they printed Tengen Tetris for Nintendo in, I think it was like 88 or 89. I'm getting my dates wrong, but I think it was 89. And the thing about Tengen Tetris is that there ended up being two Nintendo cartridges on the market. One, Tengen Tetris, and then later on, Nintendo's version of Tetris. Come to find out, Atari really didn't have the rights to Tengen Tetris, and it was put out anyway. Nintendo threatened retailers like Toys R Us and some others to pull Tengen Tetris from the shelf. But here's the thing the book doesn't cover. This is my only complaint about this book, because this book is really, really awesome. The fact is that Tengen Tetris is a better game than Nintendo's version of Tetris. Now hear me out. Nintendo's is definitely a little more polished, but it's missing one key component in Tetris that everyone loves, and that's a two-player mode. In Tengen Tetris, you can play head-to-head with two people, no problem. Nintendo's version, you can't do that. And that's why the Game Boy version was so successful, because the Game Boy version of Tetris, not only was it packed in with every single Game Boy at launch, but if you had a friend who had a Game Boy, because honestly, who didn't at that time, you could link up and guarantee that they had Tetris, and you already had the cable that came with it. So you could play head-to-head and beat each other in Tetris. You couldn't do that with the Nintendo NES version of Tetris. You had to have the Tengen one. And because of that, to this day, that's why Tengen Tetris is so desirable. Because everyone wants to play head-to-head. No one wants to play a regular, Nintendo Purple Tetris. So that's the only complaint I have about this book, because they kind of glaze over the fact that Atari had made a console version. Nintendo was threatening retailers to pull out for Nintendo totally if they didn't stop carrying it and other Tengen games. But the bottom line is that Tengen Tetris is a way better game. So that's the only qualm I have with this book. This book is by Box Brown. This book can be had for $19.99 retail. I'll put the link in the show notes. You can get an ebook as well, but I highly recommend the physical copy. There's just something really, really cool about having a graphic novel in your hand. This is a quick read. I read this book because I was so into it within an hour. I had this book set and done, and I love it. And I want to thank both Box Brown and their publisher to send me this review copy that I can share with you guys. And I was going to write an article, on it and just do a review that way. But honestly, without seeing the pages, I'd have to take hundreds of shots. I figure I could flip through this and kind of give you my opinion on it as a video rather than just a typed up review. So there's some drama in it, there's some humor in it, and there's some sadness in it. I'm not going to lie, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but you should definitely check out The Games People Play, Tetris by Box Brown. So go buy this now. Make sure you get yourself a copy. I'm not sure if it's going to go out of print or not, but it's a solid companion to any video gamer, and it's a quick read, and it's a good read, and I'll be reading this one again, I'm sure, probably in a couple more months. So anyway, this has been Chris from GameWithSwag.com. Check us out on social media, and please like, comment, subscribe to this video. What's your opinions on Tetris? Am I right? Is Tengen Tetris better than Nintendo's version of Tetris? Did you like this book? Have you checked it out yet? Let me know what you think. I'm really curious, and I'll write you back right away. But for now, this has been Chris, GameWithSwag.com. Game on.